steel beams, turbine motors, copper wiring, and scrap metal. The Lenox Metals Recycling Show is for the serious big players. If you're working in a demolition, renovation, construction, in the hotel industry, government agency, or a utilities company, or just need to know what to do with your scrap and junk, then tune in. Al Hornstein, CEO of Lenox Metals, has over 25 years of experience as a commercial and industrial scrap metals dealer. He will bring you valuable information on how to save time, money, and your company's reputation when it comes to processing your recyclable scrap materials. Now, here's your host, Alan Hornstein, and his co-host, Justine Gronwald.
Welcome back to another episode of Lenox Metals Recycling Show. I'm the co-host, Justine Gronwald, with your host, CEO of Lenox Metals, Alan Hornstein.
Hi, Justine. Nice to be back.
We're going to cover today how exactly you find clients for Lenox Metals. How do you go about it? And I looked at a previous video that you did with Kim Janala, who's a TV personality here in Hawaii. And when I viewed that, you mentioned to her that you do a number of things. You cold call, you go out to contractors, and you basically wake up every day not knowing where the next deal is coming from. But there's something to be said about what you've been doing so far for the enormous growth that you've experienced. Tell us a little bit more how you go out and find that ideal generator.
Well, the sectors that we concentrate on, one being utilities, two being the military and government agency sector, as well as construction companies. We set out years ago with the intent to design a company that was looking at large potential generators in this environment in Hawaii and seek their business out. And so early on, we went out and contracted many, if not all the utilities, but all the work that comes with utilities, infrastructure making, or for that matter, the tear down of facilities and a renovation and the build back of those facilities. So once those relationships were in place, we attached ourselves to many of the projects in those related industries. We were also mailed to us, or through access on the internet, many of the projects that are being thrown up on the drawing board that will happen even years from now. One in particular was the City County sewer treatment plant and facility, which is being built back after many years of project making, and we're involved in the demolition of much of their infrastructure and the new construction going on at the plant, which is an ongoing project for now for at least the next 5 years. So it's a major undertaking, probably one of the bigger projects we've been involved in. And then the change out in infrastructure as it relates to power with utilities. The most recent being the introduction and the implementation and project management of rail building here in Hawaii.
Wow.
And the rail project is obviously started up on the west side, where they're installing foundations, starting to build infrastructure. We are tied to primary type contracting and subcontracting that will come from all areas of construction management.
Because they have to tear down in order to build up, so you're going to be on both sides.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of demolition that will be planned in town of properties, both commercial and residentially, will be involved in. Demolition of those with the build back of the infrastructure rail that will come later. So this will come twofold, sometimes threefold, in really getting ready for that over the next 10 years. I mean, the rail is a long-term project.
It is.
And the needs of contractors, whether they're in-state or in some cases out-of-state, will require us to be suitably capable of handling all that capacity of work.
Yeah, and today's date is November 21st, 2014. So those listeners that are listening, because this is being recorded, and you can listen to this anytime. It could be any different phases of the rail at this point, and you're going to be involved.
Yeah, and it being a long-term project, we can sit back and look at opportunities that make sense for our company, and also our clients. Many of our clients who are involved in the building of rail, those would be top 10 or top 20 construction companies here. We'll all get a piece of it at one time or another, and so we intend on being involved in the making of rail. But also the infrastructure changeouts of that will preempt the building of rail. So it's very, very wide ranging. You have everything from road widening to infrastructure, power that will be built. Each station will require a fair amount of access and parking as rail is built. Which is basically starting from Campbell Industrial Park, where its base is right now.
And that's where your facility is.
Yes, we're right around the corner from that startup facility. So they have their own concrete making plants there. They have their own build-out teams that will be eventually set out in phases, obviously, as rail is built. So it being a long-term project, it allows us some convenience of looking at who we might attach ourselves through in the making and building a rail in the future.
Typically, and this is, the subject is, where do you find your clients? I mean, it looks like, in your 28 years, of course, you've built a lot of solid relationships. You did mention that you do cold calling. Do you still do that today?
Yeah, I do. I've always been a believer of going out and meeting commercial clients for the first time. I think it's important to be projecting an image of one, what our service is about, talk about us, who we are, our services. I think you do that with starting out with a handshake.
Exactly.
And I can tell you that I get great satisfaction of going out and meeting contractors for the first time, because they don't expect people to cold call them. I mean, the typical cold call.
Not today.
Yeah,
in this day and age.
We're not selling vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Okay, we're selling commercial, professional services here that, in some cases, many people still don't know about. So it's a method and a way of marketing a little differently. But I like to go out and meet, the private sector groups that are out there that are involved in all types of industries, sit down, talk about their business, talk to them about our business, what we do, and how we do it, the type of clients that we do business with. Again, outside of doing, typical trade shows, it's one that allows us to get out, pick our possible target markets and select and be selective about who we'd like to do business with.
So that you do cold calling and then trade shows. How many trade shows do you do a year? Say?
Right now we do about three or four trade shows a year, mostly relating to the building sector, building and industry, BOMA, Building Operations and Management Association, Buildings and Facilities Management, which is our big one in March, and all of the vendors who are there, who are selling to potential clients of buildings or builders, are there at the trade shows. Metal comes from many different sectors of our industry, and sometimes getting as much general coverage in those sectors as possible is the rule of the day. We want to be there. We want to be in front of people. We want to talk about our business and let people know who we are and what we do.
So as I'm doing these episodes, I'm learning more and more about Lenox Metals, and you as the CEO. First of all, you remove scrap metals, you recycle them, you deal with foreign countries, you're the broker of it, and you're the head of your company, so you're the marketer. All rolled up in one.
Yeah, but behind me is a I sort of think of myself as the orchestra leader, but there's
right.
and obviously an
Your
entire
big team.
crew, a staff of people that are behind the scenes, so to speak, making things happen day to day. And so we rely on good communications, good marketing. It's one that I think creates a good social skills building.
Yes.
Of a young staff that we have that goes out, introduces ourselves, introduces them as people, and selling themselves, selling the company services.
Yeah, and what our goal is with these episodes is as you go and meet these people, you're able to connect them with these so you can better educate them. So that way they know what to expect and what you offer and the services and how you'll go beyond the call of duty sometimes in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. to do the job.
If need be, we will.
Yeah.
That's the circumstances are all different in different projects. When we're working, let's say down in Waikiki, the one general rule is don't disturb the tourism at all.
That's important to Hawaii.
Yeah, and so we like to do our work as quietly as possible. If it means 2 or 3 in the morning, we've run and complete a lot of projects to do just that, to stay out of people's way.
Yeah. Are there any other ways that you go out and reach out to companies aside from the cold calling, and you have your team and you've already built relationships, and I imagine wanting to virtually double what you're doing in the next 5 years. There's other methods you're looking to reaching out to those companies that don't know that they might be sitting on extra cash and getting rid of a headache should they get to that point where they need to have their things removed.
Yeah, right now we're in a call out, what I would call telemarketing program, where we know who our clients are, but we're also calling prospects of those same industries with various marketing techniques. One is a call out program where we have our staff as a side interest, calling out to people in the various industries we do business with. If you're not a client, we'd like you to be and consider us.
Yeah.
And maybe we can be helpful doing that and providing services that way. Usually that's more of the personal call out to businesses that are supporting or playing a role in nearly any industry that produces metal. I mean, we have plumbers, we have electrical contractors, we have the automotive industry.
There's a myriad of them, all connected.
Yeah, they're all connected for us. As we say, we often don't care where the metal comes from as long as it comes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because that'll be part of your growth, like you mentioned, in the next 5 years. That's all instrumental in getting there.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of referrals from your happy clients?
Yeah, no, we do get a fair amount of referred work. And contractually, I think it's important for some of the bigger projects that are more notable that, they know that they're dealing with certified recyclers who are permitted to do their work. We do a fair amount of state work related to that, also in the private sector. Large building owners or people who are prolific and very, very visible would prefer to do someone who is as visible and permitted and licensed to do their work.
Now, Are you sometimes picky of who you will work with as far as demolition?
Well,
You know, because sometimes maybe they may not be as ethical as you. Would you turn down something like that?
we for us, it's a function of going out and surveying and warranting having our services at a site. So we know the things that are looked at. You know, if there are, I mean, if we can go to a project site and see, for instance, high ash or OSHA concerns as it relates to safety, or the primes themselves or contractors on site, we look at them, and a set of criteria is set out for doing business with anyone. They themselves, in their call out for our services, also have to be certified and trained and licensed to do what they do. That's where it all begins. So having those relationships, most all in place, we're pretty familiar with who's out there. And so, but if we do see something that quite doesn't make sense to us, there is enough work out there right now that we
Right.
can turn something away and say, you know, it might not be for us.
And that just means that it didn't meet your high criteria.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be sure that there's a perfect understanding of why we're being called in, what our purpose is, and it's because our company, more than a lot of other recycling companies, are very, very visible in this construct of projects that are going on, and we have an excellent reputation in our industry. Want to keep it that way.
All right, excellent. Well, I think you covered that one really well on
Thank
how
you.
you get your business. And any of you listening or watching this right now and have not met Alan or wanted to talk with him, he does have a report for you to look over. And then after that, you know, possibly contact Alan about a possible project that you have. So at the bottom of your screen, there's that number, 808-518-3997. Call or text your name and your email, and a report will be emailed to you right away. So we want to thank you for joining us for this episode. I'm the co-host, Justine Gronwald, with the CEO of Lenox Metals, Alan Hornstein.
Thank you, Justine.
And until next time, we'll see you later.
Aloha.